Hey, Mommy. Welcome to the Mami Collective Podcast. I'm Paulina Rowe, and this is your space, the No BS All Vibes podcast for ambitious moms who know that motherhood and big dreams go hand in hand. Whether you're killing it in the boardroom, hustling on your side gig, or just trying to get through the day without reheating your coffee for the third time, and yes, girl, we've all been there, this is the place for you. We're here to flip the script on the whole you can't have it all narrative, because spoiler alert, you can. Motherhood doesn't dim your ambition, it actually fuels it. And we're going to talk all about it, the wins, the struggles, and the moments that make you say, damn, I am really doing this. So buckle up, boo. We're diving into real talk, inspiration, and the occasional hot take to keep you fired up and thriving. This is the Mami Collective. Let's do this. I say we dive into it.
Go for it.
Yes, Mami Collective. Paulina Rowe is here, and my guest today, Rebecca Greene from iHeartMedia Chicago, Senior Account Executive. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to have you here. I know a lot about you, especially when it comes to being a mom. Well, I know you on a personal level, right? Being a mother, but then I also know you on the professional executive side from work, right?
Yes.
And for a very long time, 10 years now? Holy crap. 8.
I've been here 22 years.
22?
Yeah.
I'm like 9 and a half. So wow. So you've been in this role for a minute.
A long time.
Wow. 22 years. And you have 2 sons, an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Yes, I have 2 sons. Leo's 11 and Ben is 8.
So you're like perfect for what this podcast stands for. And that's literally being a mom, having a whole ass career and then going home and not even going home. You're still being a mom even though you're at work, but being a whole mom too.
Yes, it's crazy. And the idea of starting my career before kids, before marriage, staying in the same job, having 2 babies, having the kids grow up and still be here and how it changes is crazy.
That is crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're exactly what this represents. I mean, for real. I didn't even know that part. So you've been in this role then before obviously being a wife and a mother.
Yes.
And that I think is almost unheard of for the most part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like most people would either have by now transitioned careers.
Yep.
Or maybe done something different, right? Or a lot of moms, especially when they have younger kids, they choose to take time off and stay home.
Yes.
So there's a lot of different things that could have happened, but I love that you've stuck with it, and that's why I think you are where you are today.
Yes, for sure. I think there's something to say about staying somewhere, especially in the industry of media and sales and everything that I do. It's very hard to do it, but I haven't had a reason to look other places or other careers because I had built my career. It was the first job after college. So I started as an assistant at Clear Channel before iHeart was Clear Channel.
Yes.
And it was one of those things where I had great mentors and great leaders. And I was young. I was out of college. I wanted to learn. I was living in the city. It was a really fun job. And I also had the ability, not being a mom and not being married and not having the load of expenses as much. When you're young out of college, your expenses are nothing. So I had the ability to maybe not make as much money, but learn from the best and take everything in and spend time building. And by the time I was able to have children, I started in 2003, and I had my first child in 2013, right?
Oh, wow.
So 10 years. I'd been in my job for 10 years before my first kid.
10
years.
Does
that make sense? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The time. So by that point, it was a 10-year career. You don't want to leave. I wasn't in the situation where I could be a stay-at-home mom. I think that's one thing probably women struggle with, I would think, is stay home, take care of the kid, or have that career. I, fortunately and unfortunately, however you take it or I didn't have the ability to not have a job after I had children. So it was never a question of was I returning back to work because my family wasn't able to. So it was always in the head that I would be a working mom, I guess is the terminology.
Right.
But I also didn't want to give up a career I had built or that I was being successful in. So it also wasn't the option for me as a person and who I am to not work because
100%.
That wasn't something I wanted either. So, but it is a struggle, and I know it's a struggle for a lot of people on what they do, whether the society says we should be stay-at-home moms and taking care of the baby.
Yeah.
But I also think that's changed, and society has gotten better of females being in the workplace and having career and raising children. It's not so unheard of to have kids and work. But it is something that as a mom, and I think probably more moms struggle with this than dads, of what do we do? And how do we do it? And how do we be in multiple places at once and do everything well? I think that's the struggle of everyday
Yes.
life.
Yes. And
Right?
we're definitely going to talk about that because I know when we had I don't know if you remember this, but there was an event here about 9 years ago, maybe a little bit less. And we were sitting in a group. It was all the women of iHeart, I believe, in all positions. So just everybody got together in one of our studios here. And it was a conversation based around motherhood or just.
Yep, I remember this.
Yes.
About motherhood and females in the workplace and how to juggle it all. And I think I had a 1-year-old.
You had a 1-year-old. Holy crap.
Right?
At that time?
I think that's if it was that 10 years ago, I had a 1-year-old, and I think I broke down and was like, I don't know how to do it all. I'm dying, right? Like it's crazy.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it just still sticks out to me, that moment of seeing you, because I know you and you're such a badass. And not that
Thank you.
crying still makes you a badass, but I just remember seeing this vulnerable side of you.
Yeah, because we're people.
Exactly.
We're people and we're moms. And I think as a mother, when you have that child, you don't know what to expect. And it hits you and you're like, oh God, how do I make sure that I'm there for the baby, but also, contribute to my family, but also take care of myself and maintain my friendships and my work and still perform. I've always performed at a very high level. So I think the struggle with me is how do I keep performing at this high level at work,
right,
and still perform high level as a mom and as a wife, as a friend. It was a lot at once. And I think moms who are listening or moms that you talk to, I am probably not the best person to say the baby is the best time of your life. It was very hard. It was a very hard time in my life with my children being little. I enjoy them a little bit more now because I'm able to manage and they're able to be people and talk to me. And as a baby, you're like, tell me what you need and tell me what you want. And they can't tell you. So I struggled with that time more than I think every time in the mom-kid life is very hard. But that time especially, I was like, are they going to even know who I am? Every morning I'm dropping them off at the nanny or the daycare, and it's like, what do we do? But yeah, I remember that meeting. I remember it being I was struggling with just like where, can I get enough sleep? Can I, it was just a lot all at once.
I agree.
And I would say advice is like, you have to be true to yourself. You can only do so much. And I remember after that meeting, everyone came up to me. It must have really made an impact. I don't know. But people that come up to me be like, you're doing great. Like, keep doing, always ask for what you need and what you can. Don't overcommit yourself. Take it day by day. There were a lot of things that were said to me after that meeting and things that other moms in the workforce had told me that we're going through. And things have changed. I'm older now. It was, the world is different.
That's true, too.
It's very different.
Do you feel that from day one of being a mom, right, to today, we're sitting here, it's 2025, do you feel that, things have changed and shifted in your favor and other moms' favors, whether it was being able to be more flexible with work from home options? Because you're in corporate, right? So a lot of times we are able to negotiate those terms depending on your situation, right? Were you able to do any of that at that time or now?
Yes, at that time, yes. I think it depends a lot on who you work for and who your management is and how they value you. I will say probably now, and Paulina, in our sales force, I'm probably the only mom with young children.
Yeah, that's true.
There's some moms with older children, right? Different young and older children are a different situation. And I think there's one lady who's pregnant, so she's about to have a baby in the sales force.
Yes.
But it's very eye-opening to me that I am the only mother on the sales force with young children.
Yeah.
That's something to say. I think it's changed a lot, and I think it's very specific to who you work for. In my world, with an 8 and 11-year-old, there's a lot of people. I live in the suburbs. There's a lot of working moms, more than I thought there would be. I would say the majority of my friends, whether they work part-time or work from home or work, I would say this day and age, everything's so expensive. There's a lot of more dual working households than there used to be.
100%.
I don't think the stay-at-home mom is as common. Again, maybe I'm wrong because I'm only in my world. Is as common as it used to be, especially maybe people living in bigger city areas.
Right.
I think it's hard to have a single income producing household. So I think a lot of moms are, and I think a lot of moms want to work and want to be part of society and want to contribute and want to have relationships outside of the baby and the husband or the partner, whatever it is. I think there's a lot of benefit of doing things outside the home.
I agree with that. And I also think because I was not a stay-at-home mom by any means. I was on maternity leave, which is very different for those listening. It is not a vacation.
It's very different.
Right. It's different.
It's very different.
I'm literally in a diaper and I'm healing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, I'll be very transparent though. I did come back after 6 weeks by choice because I was just ready to kind of go back into my world. My baby was fine, taken care of, and my hours obviously are very different than maybe like other hours. So I was very aware of all these little things around me. And my mom lives, 4 minutes away. My mother-in-law is 5 minutes away. So
big help.
it's Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. I swear to God,
It's amazing.
It is.
I mean, and that's really, if you talk about moms and working and kids and you have to have help. I mean, it's
You have to.
You have to have people you trust. You have to have help from everyone, whether it's your boss that gives you a little more flexibility, or it's your mom or your dad or your best friend or your nanny or your daycare, or people that, I've had many situations where I'm running late and I couldn't pick up my kid in time at the daycare. So I had to call people to go, get my child and be like, I'm running late. You need to go pick him up. But you need that
For
village
sure.
of people.
I couldn't do it without it.
Yeah.
I say that every day, and even like my Fred, the Fred from the show that I'm on, he has told me many times, like he goes, you make it look easy. I'm not saying that in a negative way at all, but like the way that you do this mom thing, like I'm proud of you and you do make it look easy. And I say I appreciate you saying that because I don't think. Truthfully, without the village, without the people that help, I would be shit. I would be nothing. I'm telling you right now, especially if you are a working mom, right? You're in the workforce, you're pursuing, like, there's just no way.
There's no way. And I don't think there is a way that is right. It has to be right for you and work for you. And I think it changes constantly.
It changes.
It constantly. Like what I need now versus what I needed when I had babies is very different. I personally just need people to respond right now to the school emails, the activity emails, the calendars of all the activities, the text message from all the mom groups. That would be a great job for someone to manage someone's like individual like upkeep with the children. And then on top of that, the work life is just a separate whole animal. So there's a lot, and it's constantly changing, and there's no one way. And I don't think I do good. Or I think I've done some things very well and some things I have not done very well. And I think what's helped me is I really have changed a lot in terms of if something's not working, try to figure it out, or just being honest and saying, I can't be at that. I can't do that. I need help here. Being able to just be truthful. Like you can't do it all. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Yeah, so you have to pick and choose, and you also have to be present with your kids. That's where I think the ages start to change because I was present with my babies when they were babies, but I don't think it mattered as much as now being present with them. I think they're very aware if I'm not listening or if I'm on my phone or if I'm working too much or if I'm not around or if I'm not at their game. They're way more aware now than if they were aware when they were a baby if I wasn't home all day. And so that's something I've learned, and that's not true to everyone. But to me, I'm very happy that as a baby, I had them. I was at work all day, had them in full-time care. And I think now as they're older, having that flexibility to be more present is more important to me now because they're aware of it.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're older. You said they're older. And like, do I think that babies like see and notice certain things, pick up on things? I do.
Yeah.
Do I think it's as like intense as your 11-year-old would? No.
Yeah.
Like
I feel more guilty
everything.
now with the 11 and 8-year-old not leaving them or not being somewhere than I would as when they were babies.
Really?
Yes, because they're aware, or everyone else's parents are there, or they see it, or they have a good hit at a game, or whatever it is. They're aware of who's there and who's watching, and if I'm paying attention, and as they get older and become teens, they know if I'm paying attention. They know how I behave. So like, as you're steering their life and making them into good people,
of course,
they're not remembering that I wasn't there when they were 0 to 1. But they might be aware that I might not be paying attention when they're 11 to 13 and they can maybe get away with certain things.
Of course.
So, right? Let's be honest. So,
right.
Being aware and being attention and making sure they're aware that I'm there and I see it all and I'm there and I hear it all is really important. And it's important for different people at different times.
How do you navigate that? Like if, for example, you can't make it to your 11-year-old's basketball game, whatever it might be, do you talk to him prior? Like how does that conversation go?
Yeah, and I think they're aware that because my husband travels a lot. So we have a situation where he's not at everything all the time. I'm not at everything all the time, but someone's always there. And if it's not one of us, it's a grandparent or it's a friend or it's whatever. So they're aware and they're not hard on me on that. But I think it's more we have conversations about everything. But I also know that in my work-life balance, there's some things that I'm not willing to give up. I want to be at as many games as I can be. Am I willing to reschedule a work meeting so I can be at the 6 p.m. baseball game? Yeah, I will, because that's more important to me. So I think it's what's important to you and how you navigate. There's some things that you can make and you will make. And there's some that's, if I have a work out of town meeting, I can't control that, right? But I can control my schedule here to make sure that I'm present, whether it means getting back on the computer late at night or early in the morning so I can be at that 6 to 8 p.m. game or that, 4 p.m. school conference.
Yes.
I think we have to really pick and choose and make it work for your family. And it's different for everyone.
I always say that. I'm like, do what works for you and your family.
But I want to be at my kids' baseball and soccer games because it's important to
course.
me and it's important to them, no, they will not be professional players in either sport, but they know that I'm there and I enjoyed it and it's important to them.
Exactly.
So then I will work around other things to make sure that I am there.
I always kind of said that, being a new mom, I have a 10-month-old daughter. And one thing that I've noticed, whether it's through myself or like moms like yourself, is parenting and parenthood is a form of sacrifice. So what I'm hearing you say is you're maybe and it's not this intense like, oh, I'm sacrificing my life. Like, no, you're sacrificing maybe an extra hour of sleep, for example.
100%.
So you can stay on your computer at, 9 o'clock, finish up emails because you wanted to go to his game at 6 p.m.
100%.
And
I think I've gotten better at Paulina. I wasn't always like this. Like,
really?
I think as you get older and as I'm old now, I consider myself in terms of like what everyone around me at work is. And it's okay to say I'm not going to go have drinks after work for the happy hour because I got to get home from my kid's baseball game. And I think in the past, when you're younger in a workforce or you're a working mom and you feel like you need to do everything for everyone at all times, I probably would have maybe rushed to try to be at the happy hour for a half an hour, then get on the train, then go home and make the game. Now I'm like, I can't be there. I love you all. I work with you all. I'm here. If you need me, text me, call me. But like, I got to be with my kid at this time. I give enough to the work hours and the company and the coworkers that it doesn't mean I don't love everyone. I want to be with everyone. But right now in the mom work balance life, my work time's over. I got to go support my kid. And not everyone thinks like I do. This is just where I've gotten at this point in my career and this point in my life is that the extras that came with the fun of working aren't as important to me anymore because I still work full time and still give a lot of energy into everything else. So there's certain things that come and go. And that's as I get older. That's one that has probably gone off is like that extra work fun.
The fun. And here's the thing though too is that I'm realizing that, I'm in my career, I'm not where I want to be at all, but I definitely feel like every year I'm elevating myself, right? And I want to continue to do that, but I feel like once you maybe even hit a certain point in your career, maybe you feel this or not, like you also don't need to be at like the happy hour, half off margarita thing. Like, is it fun? Yes. Is it a good time to talk to coworkers, decompress, yes, of course it is. But at the same time, and I've reached that point too, and I'm not going to lie, sometimes I do have a little FOMO because I'm like, oh, I can't go to this or, it's not even that I can't because I always say like, if I wanted to or if it was important or I had to be there, I'll make it happen. Not a problem.
But you pick and choose you pick and choose. You can't be at everything. So you have to pick and choose what's the most important, what are you going to get the most out of. Yeah. And you just can't be as much as you used to be before the children came into the picture.
That is true. Do you feel though when you became a mom, like so kind of take us back, 11 years ago, did you ever feel almost outcasted? Because you became a mom and you couldn't go to that stuff. So that was your first time experiencing saying no because you had to go home and pump or feed the baby or whatever.
Yeah. Not really. I think, and again, the world's changed, but back when I had my first kids, there were more moms in the same situation with me in my work world.
Nice.
And things have changed. I think COVID changed a lot.
It did.
It did change a lot from a work-life balance and a social perspective. I didn't feel outcast. I would say the only really thing that I think has changed my perspective on my career path is I would probably say before I had kids, I would have been on more of a managerial career path. Okay? Which kind of what you said. Like I probably would have wanted to get as high as I possibly could in the ranks from like a leadership standpoint. And after I had kids, what was more important to me was to be successful in what I do, but I lost that drive to be on that leadership career path. And again, it's all about certain people's industries, right? Our industry is weird in the fact that when you're in a leadership position, you work more hours and you're responsible for more people. So you have to do more corporate life. And as an independent salesperson or account executive, I had more flexibility, work-life balance staying in this role than taking that leadership jump. And if I hate to say it, but if I didn't have my kids, I probably would have gone that managerial route.
Yeah.
Leadership route.
Sure.
So it didn't change my career path in terms of I'm still in the same industry. I'm still working just as much, but I changed my, I would say, projective of what I thought I would end up in. or what type of roles I'd be looking for.
Yeah.
Like I would say if I ever were to look for something else, which I'm not, I would always the number one thing I would look for is flexibility.
Yeah, which I think is more common now, especially because COVID changed the world. And I don't think the world is as friendly to working moms as it should be, but I think we've made a lot of strive. Like from 11 years ago, I think you definitely would say it has a little bit,
It has, but the flexibility is probably the number one. And I think as working moms, that is probably the number one thing we're looking for.
Yes, I agree.
If a company says there's no flexibility, I don't think you're going to get a lot of working moms.
That is so
right.
No, I didn't think of that.
As the applicants to apply.
Right.
Because realistically, as a working mom, you need some sort of flexibility. Your kids are sick every 5 seconds. You need to be able to tell your boss, I'm going to work from home today. I'm not coming to the office because my kid has the flu.
Right.
And that alone is something that I think working moms, when they're looking at jobs, again, different career paths, different lanes, different industries, everything's different. But I would say from a media marketing standpoint, the flexibility is key. Because we still want to contribute. We still want to be high achievers at our job. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we still have kids at home and things happen and they get sick or they have a school concert or they have a game and you can't just not be there all the time. It's just not real life. It's just not what's going to work for any working mom. I don't know any mom that says they don't want to be part of any part of their children's life. So they do want some sort of flexibility. And when your kid is sick, sometimes you want to be the one taking care of them. You don't always want it to be the nanny or someone else. You want to be the one to make sure they're okay and take them to the doctor. So
absolutely.
And that's just a part of motherhood, right? Like you can't always give your kid to someone else to take care of.
No.
It's just not real life.
It's not.
It's not real life, and it's not. And again, everyone is so different. But it's very important for me to be part of my kid's life. And I also work full time.
And that's through the hard days too, like the flu and like you said, exactly. So what do you do to kind of reset after a hard day? So you just had meetings in this scenario that I'm making up.
Yeah.
You had a meeting till 6 p.m. You drove home in an hour and a half of traffic. Dinner's not ready. One kid is sick. The other kid is throwing a tantrum. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Again, I think that goes back to asking for help, right? We can't do it all. So I do a lot of prepping. Planning. Let's say it that way. Planning.
Yeah.
So, I know Tuesdays are my crazy days. I just know that it is. So, my family, we make turkey taco bowls every Tuesday.
Smart.
Because it's quick, it's easy, everyone eats it. I can make it before they get home. I can put it in the fridge. They can heat it up. And I know Tuesday, because there's 4 activities and I'm in the city and I'm commuting, that we're having turkey taco bowls and we have it every week. And not even because it's Taco Tuesday. That has nothing to do with it. It's more that we have planned that this day is a hard day for the family in terms of there's lots of places we're all going to be. And that works for us, right?
Yeah.
So we do a lot of planning. And I wouldn't necessarily prepping because I'm not a chef that preps out.
I wish I was.
We really do a lot of talking. My kids are really big into schedules. They want to know their schedule every day. And I want to know my schedule every day. Because if we didn't have schedules in this world that we're in with the working moms and the young kids and everything that's going on, we wouldn't get through the day. So we do talk about, hey, today you're going to school, you're taking the bus home, you have speech, you have soccer, you have baseball. I have work meetings till 5. Dad's in St. Louis. Grandma's going to be here after school. This one's mom is going to pick you up and take you here. And this one, I'm picking you up. That is my Tuesday. It's absolutely insanity.
Wow.
But if I don't plan and they don't know.
Right.
So I think I'm really good. I also think that I'm just a really good planner. I'm really organized.
You are. You are. I can say that about you.
It's my skill set is my number one thing I'm good at is organization. So planning the days and planning the weeks is easy for me because I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it for so long. But for some people, it's not.
True.
And I don't have any advice besides do what works for you, right? You're not me. You're not juggling all this. So I'd say at the end of the day, at this point in my career, the ages of my children, where I'm at, I've done a lot of things wrong. I've done a lot of things half-assed. I've done a lot of things that worked and didn't. And I think we are on a day-by-day survival mode.
Yes,
but not in the fact that we're hanging by a thread, but the fact that it changes.
Yeah.
Some things change.
Take
some
it day
things
by
don't.
day, right?
I get a big meeting that I've been trying to land at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. I'm going to take the meeting because it's a big meeting. But if it's not a big meeting, I'm going to probably hold off on it. Right? So day by day, working with my kids. What do my kids need? What do they want? Who are they comfortable being with? Like you, I have my mom and dad close to me.
Oh, amazing.
So
the best.
And my sister. My sister is down the street with
Stop it.
Yes, with multiple kids the same age as mine. So
how fun.
We all, and she's a working mom, she's a teacher. So same thing. We're all helping each other out. But at the same time, I do I'm at the point where I'm picking and choosing what works, but planning to me is like you're asking what gets me through my day. Planning.
Yeah.
Because
it's helpful.
And it doesn't always work out, but at least I have a plan.
You have a plan.
I have a plan. And when the plan falls apart, it's okay.
Right.
I also don't freak out. It
Good.
falls apart. You know what? If the person is supposed to drive them to X, Y, and Z gets sick and they can't, I'll figure it out. And if they miss an activity, they miss an activity. You're like, we'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
Nothing's unmanageable. But again, it goes back to your support team, being able to communicate. I really do a great job of communicating with my managers on what's working, what's not. If I can't do something, I just say I can't do it, but I'll get to it at a certain time. I work just like you, my butt off.
You
do. So
You
when
sure
I'm
do.
working, I'm working.
Yeah.
When I'm not working, I'm not working. It's a combination. And I think
Yeah.
technology has helped. I can be at a
yeah.
baseball game and work on emails.
That's true too.
So that's
Yeah.
also been kind of nice too, right?
Been
Like I
there.
can be places and, can I be present in a meeting in two places at once? No. But I definitely can be watching a soccer game and doing emails with work. So there's things,
Yes.
there's good and bad about this technology. I think it's helped a lot of moms being able to multitask.
I agree.
Even the technology of like checking in on your kids. I remember in daycare, when my kids were in daycare, I would get pictures always sent to me.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure now you can probably have a live stream, but I'm older now. But, so I would see like my kid during the day and I'd get pictures of him throughout the day. And like that was always good when I was at work. That always made me happy.
That's comforting.
To be
I
able
like
to
that.
see. So technology has helped. Support system.
Mm-hmm.
Good management, good people to talk to and respect you and respect that you are a working mom. I find that most people in my industry or in my work know what a mom has to deal with these days. So it helps, right? They
Very true.
understand. And just being able to vocalize what you need and take a break. Take a break, like use the weekends to recharge, be present.
That's me these days. I've never
Plan.
been like that. Like I could just whatever. Now I'm like, no. Like Friday hits, I'm out of here, whatever, 11 a.m. And I am like full mom mode, relaxed mode, everything you think of. Like I'm in it, and I love that feeling.
Yeah, I love and like I said, I love working.
Me too.
I am not. Everyone is different. I am not a stay-at-home mom.
I couldn't do it.
I don't like to clean. But I feel like I clean all day long.
Right.
All
No,
day
I
long.
know.
I like to
Sorry.
cook, but I'm not cooking's fine, but it's fine. But like I love working. I love making a living. I love showing my kids that I work. I like talking with other adults about things that aren't my children. And I think I'm showing my children, at least my two boys, that they have a mom that works and she contributes to the household in a large way.
Yes.
And I am busy, but I also make time for my kids and make sure I'm there and things are important to me. So it's a combination of it all. And I think there's no one way that works for everyone. Everyone's got to do what works for them. And it takes a while to find it. And I'm still not there. Like I said, day by day, week by week.
Oh yeah.
It changes, but I'm happy that I am a mom and I'm happy that I am a employee of where I am with a full-time job.
Well, a very successful one. Like
I would like a 4-day work week. I'm going to be honest.
That's my only request.
That's my only request.
If I could do Fridays with no work, I would be so happy.
I mean, I would do 8 to 6 Monday through Thursday for that Friday off.
Just that yeah. No, I agree. That's
because
one
I think
change.
what we're lacking, and Paulina, you probably notice this now, and you're going to notice it together. What you do end up giving up is a little bit of for yourself.
Yeah.
So that is where that extra little day when they're still in school and you don't have to work,
Yeah.
you could maybe work out a little harder.
It's all
Okay.
on me, right?
Go grocery shopping on
It'll
that
be
day
a-
off.
mhm.
See a friend, play pickleball. That extra day to do some stuff that's maybe for you as a
Right.
mom versus always right now. I think when you're doing the 5-day work week with the 2 days off, it is a combination of working kids.
So that's my next question for you. I wanted to ask, what does Rebecca do for herself? That's you, strictly you. You have to think about it.
No, I do because I do think I like seeing my friends.
I love that.
I have a group of friends. We go out for dinner for everyone's birthdays. There's 10 of, no, I think there's 7 of us, 8 of us, whatever, however many of us. We do go out on a Friday night for everyone's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So at least 8 times a year, I'm going to a girl dinner, having fun. I see other friends other times. I think taking walks. I like working out. I think that's one thing I could do better at. I like
hear you.
reading. I'm a big book reader.
Oh.
So I try to at night, stop the scrolling of the social media and maybe read 5 pages. Like I used to read a lot.
Yeah.
Now I'm down to 5 pages. I volunteer for some of my kids' organizations and that brings me joy. I like doing that because that's using my organizational planning
There you
skills. I'm
go.
giving back, but I'm doing it as part of what my kids are into, right? So I do an example because I'm in sales. I do fundraising for my kids' baseball organization, right? So I'm part of the
Nice.
baseball organization, which he's a part of, but I'm also doing something that gets me out in the community.
Yep.
I like going out to dinner. I'm going to be honest. Like, to me, if you say Saturday night and the kids are happy, I like to go out to dinner with friends, like with couples, with girls, with neighbors. Like, I'm pretty social. So for me, being social is a good thing.
Yeah.
That gives back to like what I want to do for myself. But
Absolutely.
Traveling.
Yeah.
I like to travel.
That's good.
But like on a day-to-day basis, it's not as much about me as long as I'm doing something throughout the week that is maybe for me. But it's hard. It's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard. But I also now have this long
Yes.
commute, so like I'm listening to podcasts.
There you go.
I'm listening to my audio, but instead of reading, I'm listening to my audiobooks in the car, talking to friends on the commute. So like there is some time on this nasty commute that I have where I'm able to do stuff for me.
I didn't even think of that. That's actually great because mine's like 25 minutes, but that's me time. Like
Correct.
my Audible or I'm calling a
Yes.
friend.
So like I would say that's my daily. Whenever I'm commuting, like I'm talking to friends, I'm listening to a podcast, or I'm listening to an audiobook.
Yeah.
And all three of those things bring me joy and are for me.
100%.
Yeah.
Really quickly too, you were mentioning obviously, you're like a planner schedule and that's like how you thrive.
Yeah.
I'm assuming even prior to kids,
Yes.
you were always like that. Okay. So obviously kids are unpredictable.
Yes.
That's the number one thing that I learned. Because in my head, I was like, oh, my kid's going to sleep and this and do that. I thought I was going to plan out my baby's life. No. She came and told me what she's going to do.
Yes.
So how did you adjust? Somebody who's like super much like a planner and, you're like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. This is how we're going to do it. How did you adjust with a baby? Because
it was very hard.
It was hard?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
My first was harder.
Really?
First
Second's
was
easier?
First blew my mind. Because, as you said, I was a career person, very scheduled.
Yeah.
And my life was very like, I worked, I lived in the city, we were married, there were no children, I have to worry about it. I had a very fun industry with a lot of things. Also, this baby comes. Yeah, no, I did not do well. The first year was very hard.
Wow.
Second baby, so much easier. At that point, I already knew what to expect. So I kind of, eventually, after I got used to it, I had to go, same things we've been talking about, ask for help, go with the flow, change, do what works for you, sleep when you can. It's all the same thing year after year, but it was very hard. I would not say it was easy, and it was not.
Yeah.
I would give every new mom lots of credit. It takes a lot of time, but you have to be true to you and what works for you. What worked for me doesn't necessarily work for everyone else.
I agree. And that's why I wanted, like, for the podcast, I was like, I want to bring in moms who have different opinions, who've got like different stories to share, because at the end of the day, like what I do is different than what you do, but I guarantee you, and I can say this now too, like hearing your story, I've found similarities, things we relate on, and some things we might not, and that's okay too.
Yeah. But it was a big change. It was a big change to go from 0 kids as a full-time worker to a baby.
It is.
It was very, very hard. But again, I asked for help. I found other people in the same situation. I had a nanny share with the first kid that worked really well. And then again, on the weekends, like I wasn't able to do as much as I used to, but like it got better. And after the first year, when we had our second kid, my children are 3 years apart. By the time the little guy came around, I was in mom mode. So it wasn't as big as a shock to my system.
Right.
Okay, like it's a big shock to your system, especially if you're someone that doesn't work with children, doesn't work in education, hasn't really been around kids in a long time, then also you have this baby.
That's true.
Okay, like
that is true.
Very different. But the time the second one came along, I took my maternity leave, my 12 weeks off, enjoyed it, still had my older one in his daycare situation, and was able to juggle it. But all of it has to do with your village, your help, resources. Childcare is very expensive.
It is.
It's very expensive. And that's a hard thing. And I think that's where some moms tend to stay home because it's very expensive.
Right.
And unless you have family to do it, it's a big thing. So I would say my advice is I have a big planner. I still am a big planner. Mm-hmm. I probably still planned every day that was miserable when he was a baby, trying to figure out, and then everything was, it always was ruined. But I always tried. I still try to, for me, planning is what keeps me grounded. Yeah. So I know my schedule, and unfortunately my children are the same way now. They'd like to know their schedule. But it helps me get through the day. And then I know, okay, my schedule's done at 8 p.m. tonight. So then from 8 p.m. to 10, I can watch some TV and I can do a little laundry if I want to, and whatever I need to do for that extra hours that I haven't planned.
100%.
Yeah.
So my last question for you would be, obviously 22 years here at iHeartMedia, which is amazing. It's just phenomenal. And being obviously a badass full-time working mom, what personal endeavors, right? Do you see yourself maybe tapping into, if it's not today, in the next couple of years? Obviously, your kids are growing, and you're saying that, you know, as they grow, it's different phases, right? Maybe even different versions of you that are coming, you know, to life. So, like, what do you see maybe for yourself as well? Like, obviously, still probably being here in this role.
Yes. No, I mean, working, I think I still don't have the desire to go into that management level.
Okay.
Growing career, still being successful, having that flexibility, but being able to still, you know, doing the job I love. I love working in media. I love working in sales. I love working with my clients. So still being able to do that. But I also think there's some things in the back of my head that I want to do, not necessarily professionally, but like I want to do some trips that like volunteer trips like that are for me.
Oh, cool.
And things that I didn't think about doing that. My kids go to overnight camp in the summer. This is the first year my little one is going, and they're both going to be away for 2 weeks. And people keep asking me, what are you going to do in those 2 weeks? And my response is literally, work. Like, no kids work. Like, I'm going to work. But I also, like, maybe might do a volunteer trip that I've been wanting to do and do it when they're gone. So, like, I think there's some things like that and really look into what's important to me. There's a couple of things that have popped up in the last couple of years that I think now as they get older to do for me, that I'm going to lean into those issues, those things. The work life is there. I'm always going to have it, and I'm very passionate about it, but I've been doing it for 22 years. Mm-hmm. So there's some other things that I think I'm interested in, not from a professional working standpoint, but from like a personal standpoint that I'd like to maybe learn a little bit more about, take some additional classes, you know, go back to like what I'm interested in. And that has changed over the years. Yeah. So really maybe look into some, again, not new like ventures in, how to say, like to make money, more like things that I was interested in or now interested in. What can I learn more about? How can I educate myself? How could I maybe learn some new industries, but again, not to like make money, but because I'm interested in them, right? You learn your interests change and what you're good at changes. So like, where can I help make an impact? And I keep saying classes because I think I do crave that education. And I know that's weird, but like, I haven't been in school in a very long time. And there's things that I want to learn about now that maybe I didn't learn about in college or learn after, like newer things, whether it's technology or AI or the stock market or, religious stuff or countries and things like that I wasn't interested in back then and now I am. And like the way to learn about it is to really like go take like a 101, you know, class 101
of course,
about that topic. So I know it's weird, but like I want to learn. I want to learn a little bit more about different things that I didn't learn about in the past.
Well, yeah, I mean, AI wasn't even around, you know. Even when I was in college, we barely had Instagram. I think it just got invented.
Correct. But like, you know, unless you like read a book, and let's go back to reading. So I'm craving some knowledge of different things that
I love that though. I love it.
Yeah, and I know that's like a weird thing to say, but I think the world has changed, and
it sure has.
I want to be educated about certain topics and certain things, especially in this industry. So learning more.
I love like your crave for it though. Like
really because it's
awesome.
true. Because I think we don't know everything. We never will. But our curiosities change as we evolve and as new things come in the world and my curiosity is you can only research so much on Google.
Of course.
Right? So I want to have conversations about it. I want to have conversations about topics and I want to ask questions so I guess like real life would tell you like that's like an MBA program or like a school program. I'm more about like let me read books and get knowledgeable about the topics and have conversations.
But I don't even think like people go back to school as much as we think because, well, who has time?
No one has
resources, time. Right? And it's very expensive. Like, and a lot of these things people have been learning or creating on their own. So it's not impossible by any means.
And it goes back to the mom thing. Like working mom, just because you're a mom doesn't mean you have to stop learning or being interested in things.
Period.
Right? So
no, I agree.
I've never looked at it as the mom role is holding me back.
And I love that because that was my biggest fear becoming a mom. I was like, is my life over? Because you would hear that growing up or like whatever. And it's like, oh, I'm going to be a mom, which like I wanted to be a mom. Like I'm so clear about that. But I also, when it hit me that it was happening, I was like, oh, my life's over because I do feel like, I don't know if you had this growing up, but like your mom, grandma, whatever, right? Like not that they lost themselves, but I always saw them as just mom. They were nothing more than mom. Like mom works,
very important to have your own identity and to have your own income.
Yes.
Identity
and income.
Identity, income, are what drive my life. And again, identity can be lots of things,
of course. So and they change, right?
They change.
Forever
they
evolving.
Change. But the money, you gotta have some of your own money. And I love my husband, and we have a lot of the same money. But I will always be able to make my own money.
Yes,
and that's very important.
Yes,
to me.
No, I 100% agree. And anytime like I have friends who do like choose to stay at home for X amount of years, like I'm no financial, for whatever you want to call me, or I'm no financial expert by any means, but I am a smart girl. And I also understand that there needs to be an agreement between you and your spouse. If you guys choose to do that, some safety net, whatever you want to call it, you get some paper signed, you do something, because I don't care how much someone says they love you. I don't care. That doesn't mean anything to me. You need that, like, whether it's you have your own thing going on, whether it's work, part-time, whatever, an Etsy shop, I don't care. You have something.
Something. And it could be as simple as you want to be a waitress at a restaurant because you like being a server. That's income, anything. I'm truly a believer to have some income coming in on your own for lots of reasons.
Yes.
But again, being able to buy, my sister always makes me laugh. She's a teacher. And she is always like, I love having my paycheck because if I want to buy the pair of boots, I'm going to buy that pair of boots, right? Like, so there's lots of different reasons, but that has driven me. That has always driven me. I will always be doing, people laugh at me, but I'm always doing 17 things at once. Yeah. And be like, how do you do it?
How do you do
just
it?
How everyone's different. It's just how I work. If I have a couple, listen, I like a beach veg. I can go for a long time on a beach and sit there with the drink and some nachos and read for a long time. But I thrive more with lots of things going on. Chaos. I thrive in chaos.
In chaos. Yes.
So I work well in that. Some people don't. I work well in it. So it helps. Having kids, it's chaotic all day long. Having a job, it's chaotic all day long. As I'm sitting here, probably 300 emails and texts, and maybe probably from the school and from the organization I volunteer with, and my kid, maybe, I don't know, or the nurse or whatever it is.
You got a meeting coming up too after this.
So many meetings. So many meetings. I'm in a test program. I'm mentoring. Like so many things going on, but I thrive there. If I had nothing going on, I would be not who I am.
I completely understand. And I really appreciate your honesty. And I got to know a whole different side of you.
Thank you.
Which is so cool. So thank you for coming on and for sharing this. A lot of moms
Paulina.
resonate. Of course. A lot of moms resonate with this. That's why I wanted to create a space literally for that. Where can we, if any moms who also are in corporate or just have a lot going on, thrive in chaos, and maybe want to like reach out to you and connect with you, where can they do that?
You could find me at iHeartMedia. And if you're a member and if you own a company and you want to advertise, and you want to be part of podcasting or radio or on the Fred Show with Paulina, you can reach me at Rebecca Greene at iHeartMedia.com. That's REBECCA GREENE at iHeartMedia.com. And I'm happy to talk to you about work-life balance or have Paulina read your ad on the radio.
I would love to.
Right?
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Paulina.